Thank you, Shay. A plan for Disney's special district is coming and coming soon, but the governor's office is rejecting reports that it'll be a U-turn.
Yeah, that's after lawmakers voted to strip Disney of its special tax incentives after the company spoke out against the state's so-called Don't Say Gay law. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders is joining us right now from Tallahassee. And Forrest, this is a lot to follow here, but important because the special taxing district gave Disney a lot of authority around its theme parks.
Yeah, a whole bunch. In fact, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is the Reedy Creek Improvement District. This was approved by lawmakers in the company all the way back in the 60s. Essentially what it does is it allows Disney to operate the land around its Orlando-based theme parks a lot like a county government would. And so they've had these special privileges for decades now, but they could disappear like that if they can't come up with a new deal with lawmakers in the next few months.
You might remember this all started after Disney took issue with HB 1557 last session, a law critics called the Don't Say Gay bill.
And a California company needs to respect Florida values if they want to do business there.
It prompted Republicans to look at the private company's autonomy, taking issue with Reedy Creek's power to carry debt, use eminent domain, or build a nuclear power plant.
23 yeas, 16 nays, Mr. President.
So the bill passes.
In April, the GOP majority passed their law dissolving the district by next June and gave Disney until then to cut a new deal.
The governor is firm in his stance, and we firmly support his position.
Future House Speaker and current Rules Chair Danny Perez tells us he hasn't heard anything beyond what the governor's office said Friday, that a, quote, plan is in the works and coming, quote, soon. He was also confident it'll be substantive, especially with Bob Iger back as Disney CEO.
There have been comments that have been made by the new CEO where he essentially said that he wished Disney wasn't in the position that it currently is in with the state government.
But new reporting from the Financial Times indicates lawmakers are considering a, quote, U-turn, citing unnamed sources. The article says members are looking at minimal changes, prompting opponents to suggest this was all for show.
The entire canceling of Reedy Creek and Disney was a political performance by Governor Ron DeSantis. Disney should hire him. He's such a good actor.
The governor's office has pushed back hard on talk of a, quote, U-turn. Comms director Taryn Fenske calling it, quote, fake news in a tweet. Press Secretary Brian Griffin said in a statement, quote, Governor DeSantis does not make U-turns. We will have an even playing field for businesses in Florida, and the state certainly owes no special favors to one company.
Okay, so one of the biggest concerns about dissolving that special district is what happens to the about $1 billion worth of debt that it carries. Will that fall on the taxpayers? Well, Governor Ron DeSantis has consistently said that's not going to happen, and obviously a new deal might go a long way to assuaging those concerns. We'll have to wait and see what happens there, and we did reach out to Disney to see what their thought is on all of this, but we haven't yet heard back, Paul.
All right, so Forrest, if this is not a U-turn, what is it? I mean, it sounds in the end like it's much to do about nothing, and now the governor's comm team appears to be trying to save some face. I mean, does this really just come down to Bob Iger, who's now back in power at Disney, essentially apologizing for Disney's fired CEO, Chapek? Because in the end, this really is all about money, and it's not good for both sides to go to war with each other.
Yeah, there were a lot of Democrats who said when this bill was passed that this was all going to be for show. And so really it's going to boil down to who you trust. Is it the Republicans who say that DeSantis is going to stand firm? Is it the Democrats who say this was all just as an effort to flex some Republican muscle? Or is it a combination of the two? Ultimately, it's going to come down to the individual. Who do they trust more on this big issue, Paul?
All right.